Welcome to Morning Coffee and Mimosas. I'm Christina.
And I'm Joe.
We are a father-daughter duo. We come here Sunday mornings, but you can come here anytime you please. We banter about life, about business, and we do it over coffee and mimosas.
Good morning, Christina.
Good morning. How are you, Dad?
I'm good. Excellent.
What's making you excellent this morning?
You brought like special home prize from
I did
another
bring
place.
Accommodations around here are declining. I had to bring my own potatoes this morning.
But the eggs I made were awesome, weren't they?
Yeah, you did. But, I have higher expectations than this.
All right. Well, no, we'll have them ready next time.
Okay.
So.
Feel like you're getting a little too comfortable here,
I know.
Mr. Coffee.
Sorry, Mimosa.
I'm just kidding. I have to share before we jump into our episode for today. We say sometimes let us know feedback, reviews, all of that. We got a really nice note on our website this week, and I thought I would share it. It was actually in reference to our episode 21, which for those of you that did not get to catch that, it was on morning routine, and it was really nice, but it also, I think, has some really good tips in there that we probably missed in the morning routine episode that all of you could benefit from, because there are many, many.
Right. Yeah. We're doing this in a half an hour, and, I'm not making excuses, but I mean, I love to hear that.
Are you a little defensive, Dad?
No, no, I'm saying I love to hear that a listener has a constructive thing to add.
Well, and
to what we said.
So with that, this is to encourage, if you guys have tips that we could share with the listeners or to share with us, send them in. If you have an idea for an episode that you'd like us to talk about, send it in.
Right.
If you want to be a guest, let us know. So anyway, I'm going to read this because it was really nice. It says, "Hi, Christina and Joe. I wanted to let you know how much I enjoy your podcasts. On the morning routine, I have been doing this for years, ending my day by reviewing what I accomplished and what needs to be done the next day. One item I do that you didn't mention was I check the next day's calendar. If I accepted something that isn't important anymore, I decline. If I see I have something important, I add that to my list. This way, my meetings are accounted for along with my deliverables. Well, I just thought to pass that on. Keep up the great podcast, and thank you for sharing your valuable thoughts." So, I think that's awesome because people need to safeguard their calendars. Mm-hmm. And I know my calendar gets absolutely inundated with meetings that other people have put on there. And for you to do an audit of your calendar and look at the things that I accepted, did I need to accept them, and what can I get off of my list for the day, I think is huge. And Gloria, thank you, because that's a really good tip for a morning routine.
And it stays completely in line with knowing what's important and keeping that in your brain so that we don't get distracted. That was great. So thank you.
So we appreciate the feedback, and hopefully that's a little tip that helps everybody as you're starting your mornings.
Good. Thanks for starting with that. That was nice.
Well, you know what? If I had a comment to read every morning, I would love it.
Well, listeners, let's get comments in. Praiseworthy, of course. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Dad. God, this guy.
Unbelievable. Hey, but I wanted to tell you, so we're going to talk about confidence today.
We really tried for this episode. We were like, let's get to the point quickly, because in some of our recent episodes, man, we have been, when we talk about stream of consciousness, we have been going for a while before we get to what we're going to talk about for that day. So today we're going to talk about confidence.
So I can't tell the story I was going to tell?
No, you can tell.
Okay. No, really quickly, Friday night, Frank and I, we have the band, but we also do acoustic,
Frank,
light music.
For the listeners that are just newly with us, Frank is the leader of my dad's band.
Yeah, Till We Can't.
Till We Can't, yep.
And Frank and I will do acoustic for like restaurants, stuff like that, where it's quiet. Anyway, it was like can you play tomorrow night at a golf course? It's a restaurant on a golf course outside. And we said yes. So Friday night we get there, we set up, it's supposed to play from 6 to 9. 6 o'clock, 0 people, no one. People were playing golf. No one was having dinner at the restaurant or sitting outside. So, of course, we made an announcement to please step away from the stage so we could have some room to nobody. But exactly at 6:00, we started playing because, we enjoy it and we're just playing. And it was really cute because the two waitresses, these two college students, they were really nice. So they felt bad and they came out and sat at a table and they were like applauding the two songs.
This sounds so sad.
You're right, after every song. I know. Well, so we had fun with just chatting with them and whatever. But the coolest part of this and why it relates to today is that probably about 45 minutes into playing to nobody except these two wonderful waitresses that were being nice to us, a man came off the golf course and came up to us, gave us a $10 bill, and he just said, "Hey guys, the music is fantastic. We can hear it on the golf course and we really appreciate it. Thank you." So it wasn't the $10 tip because we really don't really get tips, but it was the fact that we didn't realize that we were being appreciated until, somebody actually came off really quick and told us. And then about a half hour later, more people came, and then it ended up being a fun evening. But I just thought I would share that because I think you don't know sometimes who appreciates what you do.
Well, as we're talking about confidence, I'm picturing, I don't play an instrument, so don't perform for live audiences, but I can imagine that there's a little bit of magic that you lose when there's an empty room.
There really is.
And probably the confidence level starts to dwindle where you're like, nobody cares about us. We don't sound good. Nobody wants to hear us. And you start second guessing yourself a little bit. So to have that person come out from inside when you thought nobody loved you and you guys,
Well, that's a great point you bring out. So there's certain things about confidence that inhibit confidence, right? And that is one, second guessing yourself and nobody's what am I doing this for? I'll tell you myself, I started my own business. I was fairly young, like 26, 27 years old. And I was intimidated and I had a lack of confidence. I had enough confidence to step out and start my own business, but I had a lack of confidence because most of the people that I was selling to were older than me.
Right.
So age was a intimidating factor for me. If I'm selling to someone and they are 50 years old and I'm 27, it's almost like, well, you've been doing this for years and what do I have to add to the party, right?
Well, and I think it's an impressive thing to have built up, and it may not have even been confidence that drove you to start your own business as much as it was you pushed yourself, right?
Right.
So you might not have had confidence, but you knew you had something and you pushed yourself to a point where we go back to comfort zone, right? You pushed yourself out of your comfort zone you did something.
I did. Right. But there was an internal voice saying, who the hell are you, Joe?
Well, you have two voices, right? You have that, like the good guy and the bad guy. And you've got the good guy on your right shoulder that's like, Joe, you've got something here and you're smart and you've got ideas. And then you've got the bad guy on your left shoulder that's kind of like, but you're only 27 and you're kind of dumb and like, who wants to listen to you? Like, what have you done?
Exactly. No, that's it.
And we all have that. And I think
it's true.
A lot of us, I don't know, do you still struggle with that from time to time?
Well, no, I'm older than everybody, so.
But now maybe you feel it the adverse, right? When like a 27-year-old comes in with fire in their eyes and you're kind of like, how do I prove I'm not a dinosaur?
Boy, that person has everything right. But so I think, there are factors that we took ourselves out of potentially being confident.
I will say, I don't know, and it may be a good case study, right? To interview a bunch of people and kind of take a poll to say, does that ever go away completely? Or are there always points in your life where you lack confidence and you have to rebuild? Because I would think that it happens over and over and over again in the course of life, that there's points of your life when you're at maybe the top of your confidence in something. And then, maybe you become humbled for some kind of experience and have to rebuild again.
I've been humbled very often. So yes.
Yeah. But I think, from, I don't know, year to year or month to month or week to week, day to day, sometimes you start a day with more confidence than others and you have to work on ways to rebuild. So I think for this episode, listeners, we are going to talk about 4 steps, and there's certainly others, but 4 steps that we consistently look at as being important for you to both build, but also exude, show up with confidence.
Right.
So that whether you have confidence, you can find ways to build it, but you can also find ways to appear to have confidence, even if that might be somewhat fraudulent in the moment. We're not saying to be a fraud, but sometimes you got to fake it a little bit.
There you go. Yeah. So what's number one?
And, guys, we haven't done this in a few episodes where we actually had a number and a count. So let's see how we've improved there.
Well, yeah, because if you should listen to some earlier episodes when Christina and or I lost count of the count.
When he says Christina and or I, it's usually Christina.
It's okay.
I couldn't count well, but we figured 4 is relatively easy to keep track of.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's go.
So tip number 1, mute your internal critic and practice positive self-talk.
Excellent. Let it settle.
There was a big pause there.
No, because I was muting my internal critic.
But I think that's important. So often we are creating. So go back to your band experience, right? Mm-hmm. Where you were telling yourself that, oh man, nobody wanted to hear us. Nobody came out. Do we sound good? Are people pulling up, parking, hearing the music and driving away? Like, what's happening? But if you mute your internal critic and you just kind of practice, okay, we're good. We're going to have a good night. I am going to show up with confidence. I'm going to talk with confidence. Mm-hmm. I know what I'm talking about. Eventually, you start to believe it, and then you start to show up that way.
Right. And the key there, again, we're just using that as a bouncing off. But at 6:00, we started playing. We didn't wait around.
Right. You have to do it.
And it's kind of part of what I do we're not talking about meetings, but I'm a stickler for being on time. So if I have a meeting that I'm running and it starts at 2:00.
You started at 2.
I started 2, and I don't care if you're not there. And when people come in and they say, oh, did I miss it? Well, catch up.
So if you missed it, you missed it. Yeah, you're not going back and refreshing.
Just doing that builds confidence.
Yeah, you're right. So mute your internal critic and practice positive self-talk. Step number 2, recognize what makes you unique. What does that mean?
What does it mean? Your experience. So when I was 27 years old, so big deal, I'm 27.
But what made you unique at that point in time?
Well, my own personality, my own knowledge and experience up to that point, my own education and so on. So if you look at it and stop saying, well, that person is 50 years old and I'm 27. No, that person had a path and has experience and is looking to me for the expertise for what it is I'm there to present. Well,
because the diversity in what we bring to the table is what actually makes things happen.
Right.
So if that person was looking for exactly what they already had, mm-hmm. they would have no need to ever tap into anybody else. But that's not how people get things done. People get things done looking for what's unique in other people and then really using that.
Correct. And that's where I was wrong when I told you I was intimidated by age. Mm-hmm. That was a naivety on my part. I was using one factor, age, which was wrong because my path, that person's path, and so on, I had things to bring to the table. So
well, and it's an interesting point because people don't need another one of themselves. Mm-hmm. People are looking to other people that bring something unique to the table. So as you're looking to recognize what makes you unique, how do you do that? Sometimes, and we say a lot, we said mute your internal critic, right? And practice positive self-talk is number 1. And we have certainly before said, don't listen to the opinions of other people. Mm-hmm. But in this case, as you're trying to recognize what makes you unique, I think that this is a time when you might contradict that because sometimes you can't see what makes you unique. And sometimes you need to almost listen to and think about what are the positive things that other people see in you. And it can be as simple as asking somebody that you trust, right? Mm-hmm. What would you say makes me unique? Dad?
I'm gonna be what would you again.
Say? What would you? He's like, nothing.
Nothing.
You suck. Seriously, Dad. What makes me unique? Like maybe there's something I'm not seeing.
No, but you're like,
come on, flatter me. No. I'm kidding. But seriously, think about like, ask other people, ask somebody that's close to you, be like, objectively, what would you say makes me unique? Or think about the things that people often come to you for. If people are regularly asking you questions, like Dad, people are always asking you questions about, I've heard you on the phone with a family friend about like tech support.
Right.
So that would tell me, if I were you, you could naturally say, okay, I'm unique in that I enjoy technology and I'm able to help other people understand it. So if you take a step back and you kind of think about, what are the things that other people typically come to me for? What are the things other people have said or recognized in me? Maybe that'll help point you in the direction of what your uniqueness is. And then thinking through your experiences. If you think through experiences that you've had, times that you've been proud of what you've done, that may also help point you in the direction of what those things are that make you unique, and help you build confidence.
Right. All you have to do is just think about a couple of them when you think you're not, not confident in your abilities, and say, no, I am, and just plow forward and do it.
Right.
Good. Number 3 is expect criticism, welcome it, grow from it, but don't be discouraged by it. And I think that's a critical one, because whenever you do anything, you're sticking yourself out there, you're going to get someone's going to criticize you for something.
Right.
Expect it and hear it, but don't be destroyed by it.
But it's important too. Like I kind of think about the biggest times that you've grown, and the biggest times that you've grown in your confidence is when you have taken criticism and you take from it what you need to take from it. So there are certain people that are like, I look at social media, right? I look at celebrities' pages and the things that people sit behind a computer and just destroy people with. A lot of it's just unfair. And a lot of that is just people that have maybe way too much time on their hands and displaced anger or insecurities
themselves. It's easy
themselves.
To be a critic. It's very easy.
But if you take criticism from people that you respect, and constructive criticism, if you welcome it versus shut down from it, you'll be more likely to continue getting it. So if you're somebody that asks for feedback, and then you're somebody that takes it and says, okay, that's really good, and I'm going to use that, and use it and grow and make yourself better, every single time you're going to be more and more confident. It doesn't mean that you need to let it, I think to your point, Dad, don't let it tear down your confidence. Don't let it tear you down, but let it build you, because you're going to keep getting better and better and better.
Right.
And you're going to take from it what's important and then build it into growing.
Yeah. So again, it's expected. So don't be surprised. It's going to come, and you explained how to handle it perfectly.
Yeah. But don't take every time you hear something negative, that doesn't negate all the positives you have.
And by the way, the criticism is not correct.
Yeah. It's not always correct.
Okay. Because a person criticizing you for something doesn't mean that they're correct. And and if I tell you what I think would make you better or something, who the hell says that I'm right?
Right.
So that's why really criticism belongs way down on the telephone pole.
But it also, I think it belongs in a filter. Like you have to take an objective filter to all criticism you receive.
Right.
And really think through the critique objectively and say, what aspects of this do I agree with? If I really, really think about what I do, what aspects of this do I kind of agree with? And just an example, like this podcast, for example, I welcome critique, criticism, and I always ask for it. I think a lot of times people are polite and they say, oh my God, I just love it. But there have been people that we trust that have said, hey, I think that if you did this, that might flow nicer. Or, so I think over the span of our episodes, we've adopted criticism, or I'll call it not even criticism, just constructive feedback that we've gotten from people. And I think it has made our episodes better. I mean, we'll let you all be the judge, but I think it's helped, right?
But on the flip side of that, if you almost made two columns of criticism, oh, it's too long. Another one says it's too short. Another one says you joke too much. Another one says you don't joke enough. It becomes, no, after a certain point of time, we do what we do, and the people, you listeners who enjoy what we do will continue to listen.
And you're so right.
Right?
It's a good point because you cannot please everybody, and everybody is looking for something different.
And every breakout, if you think of the greats in anything, the great musicians, the great business people, the great scientists, they did differently. And people probably said to them, well, that's not how you play the guitar, or that's not how this is. That'll never happen, right?
You're right.
So
there's a place for taking the feedback. There's certain things that you have to filter and say, you know what, that was good feedback and I like it and I agree. And then there's other stuff.
If it resonates with you, that's correct.
Yeah.
And then just ignore.
Yeah. And then there's other things where you just have to say, well, this is kind of the vision of what we were trying to create. Correct. So hopefully you like it. But if not, maybe you're not our listener.
Correct. Well, everybody listening is our listener.
But you know what I mean.
But look what we just did, because we just dealt with that criticism thing.
Yeah.
What's number 4?
This is the main piece of advice that I take myself and I give to any new person that's like starting in my company. Starting in sales is huge, but deliver and speak with conviction. So I look at it this way. If you are in a presentation and I am in a presentation and we are saying the exact same thing, I say it confidently and with passion. You say the exact same thing, but you sound tentative and unsure of yourself. Who am I going to feel comfortable with?
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Just as we got passionate about the right way to handle criticism and not let it violate our core and all that, we started to get passionate. We started talking more confidently about it.
Well, and the more that you speak with passion, the more that, I mean, if you're passionate about a topic, speak that way. And part of that is developing just your self-worth and recognizing that you deserve a seat at the table and that you have experience and that there are things that make you unique.
Right.
And then bringing that to the table, because I think if you show up with confidence, you speak with confidence, people will want to follow you or they'll want to get on board with you. But if you're tentative and you're unsure, then, you know, people don't trust that. They don't, you know, you feel that. And I think so many decisions are made on feeling that's such a big thing.
Right. And I'm going to just add one more thing before we close this out, because everything that you just said is 100% correct.
I feel a butt coming on.
No. What I'm going to say is someone listening may say, that's all well and good, but I'm nervous in the presentation, or I'm having trouble. I don't feel confident. And I'm going to say this coldly, but it doesn't matter how you feel. It's how you come across. So if you want to be confident, to your point, act confident, and you will then feel confident. It doesn't work the other way. You can't move your feelings. Your actions will drag your feelings along with them, but your feelings will not be able to dictate your actions.
Right.
So act with confidence, speak with confidence, everything you just said, and the hell with your feelings. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Okay?
Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead.
But
I think, like, I love that, because I will tell you, no matter how long I've been doing this, before I get in a presentation, I get butterflies. I do.
Yeah, so do I.
Everybody does. Yeah. And it's like, before you're about to talk in front of people, I start like my stomach turns. It's just normal. And I can't even count how many times I've presented or been in front of people. It's so normal. And I think that, you know, that's where it's go back to, you won't probably get past that. It'll get better, but go back to the steps. So think of the 4 steps. Number 1, mute your internal critic and practice that positive self-talk. Reassure yourself. Number 2, recognize what makes you unique. Number 3, expect that criticism, welcome it, grow from it. Don't let it discourage you. And number 4, fake it till you make it. Speak with confidence and deliver with conviction, and people will automatically think you're confident.
It's great.
And Dad, just a point, like, as we're wrapping this up. So I think about if you met somebody else, like you were saying, you were not confident and that you've struggled over time. But if you met people along the way, and if somebody were to tell you things that they admired, do you believe anybody else would ever say Joe's not a confident person?
No, right. They would say that I was confident I'm never nervous. I'm confident.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people would say that about me too.
Yeah, right.
But there
But
you
I do
go,
get
guys.
nervous.
That's the lie.
And I'm not confident.
There is the
often.
lie.
Right.
The lie is that, both of us, I don't think
But
anybody
it's a good lie.
It's a good lie,
Right.
but neither of us would be like, oh, they're always nervous and they get anxiety or sometimes they're unsure of themselves. That wouldn't be what anybody else says, but it's certainly something that we feel
Right.
at different times.
The difference between people who accomplish great things or even just accomplish what they want to accomplish and others is that they do it in spite of themselves, in spite of their feelings.
Yeah.
And, so looping back to that little beginning story, you never know the impact you have on others. If Frank and I had not played till people showed up, we wouldn't have known or realized that there were golfers on the golf course that were enjoying what we were doing. So
Right.
take action and just do. Confidently.
Thanks, Vaj.
Confidently. All right. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, everybody. If you liked what you heard today, send us some feedback, write a review,
And
share
tell
with a friend.
others. Share with a friend. Great. Wherever you are, whatever your story, thanks for spending time with us this morning. Now, go and make a difference in your world.
Next week, Dad, I expect the right home fries.
Yes, be another challenge since I did my mission statement, so now I have to prepare potatoes.
Yeah. These are the important things.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.